Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page podcast. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. This is episode 8 of the Junk Journaling podcast and today's topic is, do I need a book to start junk journaling? Okay, let's get into that. So, if you are new to junk journaling, you will be having a look at all the different things. Maybe you've fallen down the rabbit hole and you're excited by this new project, this new hobby that you could get your hands into. Maybe you are a creative person and this is exactly up your street. Perhaps this feels like it might harness all of those skills that you have, your creative endeavours in sewing and quilting and painting and sketching and slow stitching and all of the things that you love, creating different textures and patterns and stenciling, stamping and writing. Maybe that's you. Maybe you'd like to express yourself, but you're not sure, you've never done it, and your only experience of journaling is to go and get a book from the shop, which is all pristine and clean and delicious with its white pages, and it's got its diary, calendar, lines put in it, and the date, and we all know where we are from one week to the next because we can see into the future where we will be in the next few months and we can plan. Maybe that's you. And maybe you just would like to bring a little bit of enhancement to those delicious white papers of crisp commercial quality. Maybe that's you. Or maybe that's your only experience of it. And frankly, you're looking for more. Perhaps you just want something more. Maybe it isn't satisfying you enough anymore. Perhaps that journaling experience has been something of a chore. And once you've gone out of that flow of doing something every day, it's quite hard to get back in. And maybe you've kept a journal and you really enjoyed it in the past, but it's something you got out of doing, perhaps because you weren't doing so much or circumstances have changed for you, but now you'd like to do that again and you're just wondering whether you could do it in a different way. What is this junk journaling? Let's hear more about it. So, do you need a book to begin junk journaling? In a sense, do you need to make one of these junk journals that you see on Pinterest or on YouTube? Do you need to make one? No, you don't need to make a book. Woohoo! You need to make a page. That is why this is the treasured page. We deal with the pages and then the books take care of themselves, much like money. The pennies look after the pounds in the UK. If you look after the pennies, you're rich in the future. So let's deal with the pages. The first page is always going to be the difficult one. So let's not have it. Let's not have that first page in the book to give you anxiety. Let's just have a pile of paper. Perhaps it's paper that has been damaged. Perhaps it's copy paper that has got crease in it because it fell on the floor. Maybe it's an old letter and the back of it is plain, but the other side is writing and you don't care for it, so it's going in the bin. Just get a piece of paper that is just destined for the compost or the rubbish or the garbage or the bin. Get a piece of paper that could have been from packaging came through the door, from a delivery. And let's just look at that piece of paper for a moment. What colour is it? What texture is it? Do we like it? Are we happy with it? Does it make us feel anything, or is it just white? Would it be made much more interesting if we scrunched it up into a ball and then we flattened it out again? Would that be better? Do something to the paper that makes you feel like you are attached to the paper a bit more. If you've got an old bill and you hated that and you don't really want to know about it, maybe that's not the right piece of paper for you. Choose another one. Get another one. Get a bit of brown packaging paper. Tear it into an interesting shape. Don't have it square. We always have square or rectangles. Let's just have it triangle. Have a oblong. Have a raggedy edge, circular oval type fragmented piece of paper and just get that in front of you. Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter because it's a bit of paper that you've rescued from the bin. Could you feel a bit more relaxed about that piece of paper? You're not creating a great big journal book, so therefore that's not a problem. You're not opening a crisp new book that you've spent money on and you're going to now try and fathom out what on earth you should put on the page and your month ahead and all these fantastic goals that you've got for yourself, and well done you, and probably you'll achieve some of it and maybe you won't because life changes and you have no idea how to predict it. So forget all of that because that's too much. It's too much at the moment. We just want one piece of paper that has no sentimental attachment to it at the moment until we either scrunch it up, tear it, or put some colour on it. But how about we put all of that on it? How about we scrunch it up, tear it, and put colour on it? What then? What would that mean? What would that look like? Think of a colour. Any colour. Get a colour in your mind. What colour comes to mind? Is it blue? Is it yellow? Is it brown? What colour comes to mind when you're asked to pick a colour? Get it in your mind. Why have you picked that colour? Why did you choose that particular colour? Now get that colour strong in your mind and look around your room. How many other colours in your room have you got that matches the colour in your mind? Is it a dark colour of that shade? Is it a light? If you've picked a yellow, is it neon yellow? Is it mustard yellow? If you've picked a blue, is it dark blue, deep blue? Is it light blue, turquoise blue, aqua blue? Lots of blues. What blue is it? Whatever your colour is, pink, red, indigo, violet, orange, magenta, gold, silver, black. What colour is it? And what level of black is it? Is it grey or is it darkest black you can find? What shade of colour is it? Can you recreate it? Do you have that colour within your environment? Do you have a yarn in that colour? Do you have cotton? Do you have a paint? Do you have ink? Do you have a nail polish? Do you have an eyeshadow in that shade? Do you have something in that shade or near enough? Go and get it, find it, bring that item back to your area where you have the piece of paper. Maybe you've got this piece of paper that is torn. Maybe you have scrunched some of it up so you're now a bit more familiar with the paper, and now you're going to add colour to it. What colour is it? Where are you going to get it? And how are you going to attach it to the paper? Are you going to stick it down? Are you going to sew it on? Are you going to staple it there? Are you going to cleverly put it on with a paper clip or a split pin, a brad? Have you got wax seal that you could attach? How are you going to attach the paper? So, scrunched up piece of torn paper, apply a colour to it. If it's paint, if it's ink, it's going to go on the paper. It doesn't need attaching. If it's a physical thing, like another piece of paper that's that colour, or a piece of fabric or yarn, how are you going to put it on that paper? Put it on the paper. So you've got your scrunched up torn paper now with a colour on it, which is either stained or attached. What does that make you feel? Why did you choose the colour? Why did you put it there on that particular part of the paper? What does that make you feel? Does it remind you of a time in your past? Is that something you want to see in the future? Are we going somewhere? Have we been somewhere? What have we done? What are we doing here? What's this? What's this about? Is it something that you are sad about? Are you happy? What does that colour on that piece of paper mean for you? Okay, now you need an image. Now you've got to find an image that is encompassing the mood of the colour that you've chosen. Where are we going? What historical time are we in? Are we in the modern day? Are we in your childhood? Are we in the future? Are we in the past? Where are we? What does it mean? What is the image? Pick an image, find an image. Go, pause this, Go and find an image, something that means something to you. So you found an image, you've got that in your mind and you're happy with this image. Maybe this image has now sparked off something else. What does that mean to you? Have we got a colour down and an image and now we are in some place completely different to when you started? Is the mood still the same? Does it still bring happiness and joy, or does that make you feel a longing or a missing or a sadness? And what can you do to change that into something more positive? What colour, what image, what element could you bring? And what you're trying to achieve is whatever you've got in front of you, you need to be happy with it before you can call it done. So then you need to maybe add another image or something else or more colour or a different colour, something that will take it to a place where you're happy with it. So you do that. You maybe add... So you've scrunched up torn paper, you've added a colour, you've added an image. Maybe to tie it all together it wants a word. And what is that word that you would tie to your piece in front of you? Could it be just one simple word that you find in a magazine or a book? Something you can cut out? Have you got lots of stamps available to you and you're crafty? Maybe you've made cards in the past, you've got lots of sentiments. What sentiment could you put to this little image that you've been creating in front of you? How big is that piece of paper? Does it need to be that big? Could you tear some of it down and make it smaller, make it into a nice extra piece that could be stuck to a bigger piece, maybe some other colour? Maybe that could be stuck in a book if you had one. Of course, you would need to make that, but that's another story. That's another podcast. Just deal with the page. Just deal with the piece in front of you. A torn, scrunched up piece of paper, a colour in any applicated way that you have to hand, and an image, maybe two if it needs two, and a word. What's the word? How are you putting the word down? Is it another piece of paper? How are you attaching these things? Could you glue that on? Could you sellotape it on with a tape? Maybe you've got washi tape. Maybe you've got washi tape with words. And if you have, let me know, because that sounds like something I might want. Get your word. What's your word? Put it down, and then you have in front of you a treasured page. Why? Because you've attached emotion to it. You've thought it through. You've placed it where you wanted it, and it means something to you. It invoked a memory, it invoked a reaction, it invoked your creative self who had to go through and think why you were doing it, and you had to finish when it felt right to you. You've created a treasured page. Now you can then write about whatever that was, or you could just leave that as a memory anchor because you went through a process and you won't forget it. You could just put that word down, and on the back you could write what it was and maybe the date, and that's what you call a treasured page. That's what you call done. You can now glue that down into a scrapbook or keep it in a box until you're ready to add it to a journal. But you have started off on something, and that is for anybody that is feeling a little bit like they've lost their creative way. Maybe they just need some inspiration to start, and then after that you get your creativity flowing again. So that's the point. Start the page and see where it takes you. So no, you don't need a book. The books are beautiful and they can be overwhelming and they can be fun, but the junk journaling journey, as you will hear, it starts with a page, it starts with the inspiration, and that is a good place to start, by just thinking about the page, about the paper, about the colours, about the image, and then maybe you want to do more on that. If you've put a word to it and it's made you feel something and it's brought you happiness and joy, maybe you would like to have a whole book just dedicated to that one time, that one subject, whatever it was that you put down. That could be your starting point. So there we go, guys. I think you can get very quickly overwhelmed by all the inspiration that you can absorb if you start watching lots and lots of things on YouTube. I invite you to come and watch some of the things on mine. They certainly start you off on a process. There's lots of information on how you can make marks on paper and certainly stain paper using tea, coffee and fruit and all sorts of spice and things like that you could make your papers to begin with. But don't overwhelm yourself. Start off, and even if you're having one of those days where you're just not sure which way to go, maybe keep it simple. Go back to basics. Get a piece of paper, get an idea and go from there. And that's what I think is the best thing to do if you're just starting out for junk journaling, is not get overwhelmed with the end result. You're on a journey, you've got to begin and build it up slowly. And before you know where you are just flying and you're wanting to make a book. And that is a whole other podcast. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope that you've had fun today. I'm going off now to find out what my colour and image and word would be and where that will take me on my junk journaling journey today. I've had an immense amount of fun creating the videos for you on YouTube and also the podcasts, which are coming out twice a week on a Monday and a Thursday. And the videos will be 3 times a week over on YouTube. So thanks everybody for watching and listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. And above everything else, guys, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.